delegates, and honored guests. Welcome to the Sunday morning session of the 2019 California Democratic Party Organizing Convention. Please welcome to the stage California Democratic Party Secretary Jenny Bach, California Democratic Party Controller Daniel Weitzman, California Democratic Party Second Vice Chair Daraka Larimore Hall, California Democratic Party First Vice Chair Alexandra Gallardo Rooker, and California Democratic Party Chair Rusty Hicks. Delegates and guests, please welcome California Democratic Party parliamentarian Kobe King. Delegates and guests, please welcome California Democratic Party Chair Rusty Hicks.
Good morning, Democrats. I know this room isn't completely filled, but good morning, Democrats. All right, good morning. Well, I want to welcome you to our Sunday morning general session when we do the business of this party. But before we turn to the business of the day, I hope you will all turn your attention to the screens as we take a moment to acknowledge those great Democrats that are no longer with us, who fought for the same values that we fight for each and every day, and in their memory, we continue our great work. Take a moment to review the screens. Thank you.
Here to deliver the credentials report, please welcome Lara Laramendi.
Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. No, you can't control yourself any longer. Feel the rhythm of the music getting stronger. Don't you fight it till you try to do that conga. Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. No, you can't.
Buenos días, demócratas. ¿Estamos despiertos? Good morning, Democrats. Are we awake? Okay, special shout out to my home AD, the 41st Assembly District in Region 11, out in front. So we have the credentials report, 2,534 registered Democrats for this endorsing convention. Do I hear a motion to accept the credentials report? Second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Credentials Committee report adopted. Thank you very much.
Delegates and guests, here to present her officer's report, please welcome California Democratic Party First Vice Chair, Alexandra Gallardo-Rooker.
Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living. Barely getting by. It's all taking and no giving.
Thank you. That's all our dream, to work 9 to 5, and that's it. I want to welcome a young man, still a young man, James Koopman, if he's in the audience. I met him in 1993. He was doing the swearing-in ceremonies, voter registration by himself because he was the voter reg chair for Bob Farron, was our county chair there in LA back in those days. And 17 of us from LACLA, which was Labor Council for Latin American Advancement in LA, showed up to help him, and he couldn't believe it. So he'd put 2 over here, 2 at that door, 2 at that door, and that's how the swearing-in ceremonies, voter registration drive began. And it's now, I think we do it all over the state. But it was James Koopman that I met here and gave an honored guest to be here that I wanted to recognize because he's still active, and I thank him. All by himself he would do this. So, and I want to recognize Gail Bradley, she's here, who's Eric Bradley's widow. You know, we started the Eric Bradley Memorial Grant, and it wasn't too long ago that Eric and I were at the Hyatt Regency having lunch with the management, and it was a deal. We were having an executive board here meeting, and he was so happy. And for those of you that know Eric Bradley, he gave me that big bear hug, and he had that chuckle. And we both left so happy, and it was 2 weeks later that he passed away in his sleep, or he was getting ready to have a Hillary Clinton meeting before the presidential with all the activists in Long Beach, and they all got to the house, and Gail had to give him the news that he had passed away when she'd come down the stairs to wake him up. She thought he'd fallen asleep on the couch. So we lost someone that was very active, that loved this party so much. And I'm so proud that we started the Eric Bradley Memorial Grant, and I recognize Gail Bradley, who's here, and I know that Eric Bradley is watching us in spirit. A lot of good people, done a lot of work before us. So for all the people that are here, new people are here, we need to recognize there's been a lot of people been building the infrastructure of this party for a long, long time. I want to say the American trade movement, through the building, constructions, and building trades movement, they not only build our country and the buildings that we live in, the buildings that we work in, but they build lives. They're building lives when these kids become get into these apprenticeships and are able to make decent wages to buy a home in their communities. People that get out of jail, people that come from low income, and all walks of life. Whether you're an electrician, a roofer, a plumber, whatever, you have a trade, and they are doing a lot of work. And you heard their great leader, Robbie Hunter, yesterday. You have like 500,000 workers in this state that are making a great wage with these project labor agreements. And, you know, we talk about to the left, too much to the right. You know what? Let's focus on the working people, because that's where we need to focus. I'm tired of this, you know, you're too much to the left, too much to the right. Working people are the backbone of this party, and we don't want to take money from corporate companies, but who's giving money? Those people that are paying their dues and paying money to give for political purposes and to this party are the ones that give, the workers. So we need to applaud that. So with that, I'm going to give up the rest of my time, because I would never say no to Robbie Hunter and the state building trades. The Blue Working Crew Dance Troupe. Real treat for you all.
We built this city. We
say you don't know me, I recognize my face. Say you don't care who goes to that kind of place. Knee deep in the hoopla, sinking in your fight. Too many runaways eating up the night. Marconi plays the mama. Listen to the radio. Don't you remember? We built this city. We built this city on rock and roll. We built this city. We built this city on rock and roll. Built this city. We built this city on rock and roll. You say you don't know me, or recognize my face. You say you don't care who works at that kind of place. All the politicians not showing up to our fight. Got to feed our families. We can't afford to spend the night. We don't have the time. Did you read the latest tweet? Do you remember who built this city? We built this city. The working class. We built this city. We built this party. The working class. We built this city. We built this party. The working class. We just want a place here, but someone stole the stage. They forgot how they got here. They wrote us off the page. Don't tell us that you need us. We're not just simple fools. Working class Americans will fight against your rules. We don't have the time to read the latest tweet. Don't you remember who built this city? We built this city. The building trades. We built this city. We built this party. The building trades. We built this city. We built this party. The building trades. We built this party. We built this city. We built this party.
Here to present his officer report, please welcome California Democratic Party Second Vice Chair, Duraka Larimore Hall.
Sisters, brothers, siblings, how are you doing this morning? So those of you who know me at least a little bit or on Facebook know that I'm often talking about the need for a long view and for patience in the grassroots, that making progress in this party and making progress in this state and this country is a marathon and not a sprint. Well, I'll give you an example. The very first executive board meeting that I went to as a member of the executive board, we took up a ballot measure about reforming the disaster that was 3 strikes. We had a debate, and the recommendation coming from the Resolutions Committee was that this party should be neutral, that we should be afraid of being seen as being weak on crime. Never mind that the prison industrial complex continued to churn through black and brown bodies, putting upwards of 2.5 million people across this country behind bars. We were too afraid of seeming as a party to be soft on crime to take a stand. Well, I took the floor at that executive board, as did other advocates for social justice and criminal justice reform, and we reversed that recommendation. And the Democratic Party, for the first time in decades, took the brave position of standing for criminal justice reform. But we lost that. We lost that measure at the ballot box. The people of California weren't ready. They still believed that it made us safer and more just to criminalize entire communities and put entire generations into the prison system. But we kept at it, and we kept making these arguments, and we kept coming back until finally, with Propositions 47 and 57, we made progress in this state that no other state has made, that freed real people from prison and allowed them to continue with their life, to go back to their communities, to contribute. Well, guess what? We have to defend those gains at the ballot box once again. Because one of our own, Assemblyman Jim Cooper, has partnered with Republicans to put a ballot proposition on the ballot to repeal 47 and 57. Let's be very explicit and very real about this, folks. This ballot initiative will put thousands of people back in prison. Non-violent offenders, addicts, back in prison. Now, strangely, bizarrely, surrealistically, we are about to get a recommendation, a unanimous recommendation from our Resolutions Committee to oppose that ballot measure. I urge you to support that recommendation. I urge you to put your shoe leather and your money and your mouth where all of our rhetoric about criminal justice reform is, and to walk precincts and make phone calls to make sure that we keep those folks out of prison. But surrealistically, we're also about to re-endorse Assemblyman Cooper. I'm not one to shy away from saying controversial things, but I've got to say it. People know when we're talking out of both sides of our mouths. Voters, young voters, people of color, disenfranchised and disengaged people throughout this state and throughout this country are skeptical of this party because so often we say one thing and we do another. This is a political party with principles, with a platform, but more importantly, with a mandate from our constituents. And by the way, 63% of his constituents voted for 57. We have a mandate to create, deepen, and defend social justice in this state. And that mandate must come before incumbent protection, and it must come before our jobs, and it must come before our positions and our titles. We are going to defeat Donald Trump, whether it's by impeaching the motherfucker or by voting him out. And after Trump, we will elect a progressive Democrat to the White House, and we will begin to build a more just and sustainable America. But if we do not have the bravery to open those prison walls, to restore an entire generation of community leadership and energy and activism, to repair the damage to communities of color, if we're not willing to put that first and central to our agenda, then we will be letting down all of the people we're making promises to, that something different will come after Trump. This party bears a tremendous responsibility, from the crime bill to our own mistakes in California, for creating the prison industrial complex. We owe it to this country. We owe it to Californians to be at the forefront of dismantling it. Thank you.
Here to present his officer report, please welcome California Democratic Party Controller Daniel Weitzman.
Good morning, Democrats. I didn't hear anyone. All right. Before I go into my report, I want to do the most important thing, which happens every year this time. I want to wish my wife, Randy, a happy 18th anniversary. 18 years of putting up with this, and my theory is that she's got 2 more years left on her sentence, so we'll see. I want to tell you, and I hope you can see, I'm wearing my Dem 2020 pin. Who else has one? You need to have your pin on. Our Dem program is the way we're going to fund our low-dollar program for this party. If all of us just spared one fancy coffee a month, just one, we'd have over $250,000. Just think if you gave away 2. And more importantly, if you don't, I'm going to sick Henny on you. Now, in the lane of my marriage and my anniversary, how many people are excited about our child care? We did it. We lived our values. We were able to put the words of being supportive of working families to work. And we will continue. 18 children came through this program, and they looked happy, excited, and more importantly, the parents were happy and excited. So I'm very proud of this party, and we did it. So a round of applause for our child care. Now our committee, the Finance Committee, has been working. We had several subcommittees working, and I want to tell you about the most exciting one that we have, and I want to announce the winners of the Eric Bradley grant. Now, this committee got together. We had over 20 applications to get youth involved. And those who remember Eric know he was the kind of guy who would say, young people, come with me. And as he came up the ladder, he brought more up with him. His heart and his soul was about involvement of young people, ego aside. So I am so proud that this party is supporting his scholarship in his name. So I'm proud to announce the winners of this grant program now. For $2,000, the Muslim Democrats of Southern California. For $520, the Santa Barbara Young Democrats. For $520, the San Bernardino County Young Democrats. For $520, the Cal Berkeley Dems. For $520, that's a growing theme, the Elk Grove South Democratic Club. Thank you, Region 3. For $520, the Ventura County Young Democrats. And for $400, the Greater Democratic Club of Tracy. Now, people always say, what's the money go to? Well, let me tell you, a lot of the application talks a lot about pizza and a lot of involvement. But this grant program has brought young people into this party and has brought people to be involved on the grassroots level and not in areas where it's all deep blue. So we should all be proud of ourselves for the commitment we've had to young people and to this grant in the name of a leader who stands above all of us, Eric Bradley. Thank you so much for everything, Democrats.
Dear Governor Wilson, 25 years ago this month, you ran for re-election by stoking nativist fears about immigration.
In 1994, you championed and helped pass Proposition 187, the Save Our State initiative.
You said California had to be saved from my mom.
From my dad.
From my mother and father.
You said California had to be saved from our neighbors, our friends, our families.
You scapegoated immigrants like my mom and dad in order to secure re-election.
And blame people who look like me.
Who look like me for the economic problems that faced California.
Sound familiar?
Proposition 187 passed with 59% of the vote.
And we were angry, but you woke up a sleeping giant.
We immediately turned our attention to actually saving our state, one person at a time.
One person at a time.
I participated in my very first march. Now, I'm a part of a new leadership in California.
I'm an immigrant and became a U.S. citizen in the mid-90s, all because of you.
I organized a walkout with students in my high school. We realized the impact of our political power.
I went door to door and registered voters in my neighborhood alongside my immigrant union members.
Because of Proposition 187, I went to law school, then came here to Sacramento.
We are the first immigrant sisters in history to serve in the California State Legislature.
My mother, a legal resident for over 20 years, became a U.S. citizen, registered to vote, and has voted in every election since then.
Governor Wilson, 25 years ago this month, you spread fear about Latinos and immigrants in an attempt to secure a future for yourself and your party. Instead, you ignited a movement.
More than 1 million Latino immigrants moved through the process of naturalization and voter registration.
California Latino Legislative Caucus swelled to a record 29 members and 5 constitutional officers.
We helped create supermajorities in both houses of the legislature. We've passed legislation to allow dreamers to go to college, graduate school, and even practice law.
We've expanded worker protections and overtime to our farm workers and domestic workers.
We have expanded healthcare rights to all young Californians, no matter their immigration status.
Our work isn't done, but we want to say thank you, Governor Wilson.
Now, on this 25th anniversary of Proposition 187, we have a roadmap for the entire country to follow.
A roadmap on how to fight back against racist, xenophobic policies.
And an opportunist leader, one person at a time.
Thank you, Pete Wilson.
Thank you, Pete Wilson.
Thank you, Pete Wilson.
Thank you, Pete Wilson. Oh, and happy anniversary.
Thank you, Pete Wilson.
I am not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. Hey, yo, I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot. I'ma get a scholarship.
Thank you. So as you heard, my name is Will Rodriguez Kennedy, and I am honored to be the president of the California Young Democrats. Where are the Young Democrats, by the way? Are they in the house? I'm also honored to serve as the chair of the San Diego County Democratic Party. Where are you at, San Diego? I want to start off my remarks on a note of gratitude. Last year, we all heard of the abuses of our previous chair. We heard about the intolerable harassing and abusive behavior for someone we elected to a place of trust and power. It was Young Democrats who brought these abuses to light, as 19 Young Democrats sought to tell their stories. We thank the leaders of our party for believing us. Further, we are thankful for that Chairman Hicks has quickly enacted reforms, specifically to prevent this behavior from ever happening again. We further thank the chair for his inclusive selection of standing committee delegates, leading to more Young Democrat representation than any previous cycle, and for working with us to start the CYD Ambassadorship Program, specifically designed to empower Young Democrats who are not yet delegates and get them involved in our party and setting them on the path to join our party's leadership. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As for my report, you may have heard last night that the California Young Democrats endorsed U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders for president. The California Young Democrats are feeling the burn, and while reasonable people may disagree on primary candidates for president, one thing is clear. When our party has a nominee, you can count on the California Young Democrats to join the fight and get a Democrat in the White House, because Donald Trump has got to go. Further, we're planning our regional invasions to support defending our congressional gains last year and some offense targets, thanks to the generous help of Speaker Pelosi and Congressman Scott Peters. The California Young Democrats aims to participate in 10 targeted invasions, planning mobilizations in 2 additional states so we can continue to do our part to keep the House and take the Senate. We're looking to include the state Senate and state assembly targeted seats, as well as a host of young Democrats who are stepping up to run. We've endorsed a slate of young Democrats to run for DNC and hope the executive board will vote to elevate these passionate young leaders to the leadership at the DNC. And we're exploring a CYD Academy to train the next generation of Democratic leaders. And thank you, CDP Secretary Jenny Bach, for assisting us in that effort. And in closing, the California Young Democrats are ready to fight for Democratic candidates and progressive values up and down the ticket by calling, by texting, by walking, by encouraging our generations to get out the vote. Because when young Dems lead, when young Dems walk, and when young Dems vote, we win. Thank you.
Delegates and guests, please welcome the President of the California Democratic Council, Mr. Iyad Afakwa.
Good morning, Democrats. My name is Iyad Afakwa. I'm not new to the Democratic Party, but I'm wearing a new hat. So I am a proud grandson of Palestinian refugees. I am a proud son of immigrant parents. I am a proud educator. I am a proud grassroots activist. And I am bold and bold. And what we have seen this weekend is very heartwarming, yet we need to leave this arena united. Because when it's come to marginalized communities like the Arab American community, like the Muslim American community, we are an asset, not a liability to this party. And no, the Democratic Party was never home to the Arab Americans and the Muslim Americans. It was the Republican Party. And as activists of the Democratic Party, as Arab Americans, Muslim Americans, we worked very hard to bring our community to this party, and we want it to be our home. As someone coming from marginalized community, I do understand the pain of my brothers and sisters, working class, Mexican Americans, Asian Americans, LGBTQ. Also, I understand the magnitude of the separation of families on the borders, because my family is separated on 2 sides of the borders in Jerusalem. I do understand the value of engaging our rural America in this debate and making sure their voice is heard. I do understand that we have to bring Central California to the table and make sure that we do care about them, and they don't deserve to be in a red bucket anymore, because they work hard for making this country and this party great. We are standing on the shoulder on the working class as a very proud son of farmers and working class. I will be pledging to you to be the voice for the muted, the voice for the voiceless, challenging the status quo, and speak truth to power, and make sure that I have a bold value-driven vision that sets a new standard for public service. May God bless you, and we will work together to walk out of this conference as united and making sure my identity doesn't paralyze our work as a grassroots. And remember, just being a Palestinian, I am part of this country. I am part of this party. Being a Muslim, I am standing against anti-Semitism. I'm standing against Islamophobia. I'm standing against homophobia. I'm standing against xenophobia. I'm here for everyone. Everyone deserves to be treated like a human. And the Democratic Party is the party of the people, not the party of Wall Street. We can't afford being the party of Wall Street and the party of the people at the same time. We have to choose, and we have chosen. We are going with the people. And I will leave you with this. Number one issue for me is medical for all. And number issue for me is the new Green Deal. Let's make America green again. Thank you.
All right, Democrats, we are about to close up our general session at this convention, but a couple of important announcements. First and foremost, our controller talked about DEM 2020, and I understand that there's been a little competition going on, and I'm proud to announce in partnership with our controller that Region 6 and Henny Kelly have won the contest for DEM 2020. Let's give them a big, big round of applause. Second is we have additional bags that are available for those delegates that want to take those home. Those will be out in the hallways. For those of you that are on the executive board, we will see you in Visalia, California, March the 22nd, right? So Central Valley, we're coming. And for all of you in this room, we will see you in 2021 at our next convention. But between now and then, I think I'm going to see all of you in the streets, on the phones, on the doors, sending text messages, talking to your friends to turn out the vote. Am I right? Are we ready to take back our country? To take back our democracy? Ready to get to work? Let's get to work. We are adjourned.
Left some flowers in the room. I'll make sure I leave the door unlocked. Now I'm on the way. Swear I won't be late. I'll be there by 5 o'clock. Oh, you've been tricked.